Hello, welcome to Salisbury Cathedral and today's reflection, Wednesday the 8th of July. My name's Robert Titley, one of the Cathedral Canons. Today has been a significant day in two ways, in fact in three. Today is the day, as regular viewers to this channel will already have seen, that I've finally got my hair cut. And what a relief that has been. I no longer look as though I fell asleep in the 1970s and have only just regained consciousness. More importantly, today has been the day when we have again been able to welcome visitors into the cathedral, the first time in about 15 weeks. And if you came today, or if you come in the coming days, and please do if you possibly can, you will find the cathedral in a wonderful state. It's completely decluttered. Wonderful, generous spaces with hardly any chairs set out. You'll be able to see our fantastic 2020 art exhibition, not just the pieces of work out in the close, but those pieces that are inside the building too. And because we have to have a one-way system because of COVID restrictions so that we're all at a safe distance from one another, that means that as you leave, you will see a part of the cathedral that visitors in the past never saw unless they came on a very particular special tour. Now, I won't tell you what that is. That's a mystery that lies wonderfully in wait for you if you can come. And all of us, staff and volunteers, were so relieved and just delighted to be able to welcome people into this wonderful place, not only to pray, but also simply to look around and take pictures and ask questions. So do please come. Today, some people just turned up and we were able to allow them to come in. We've got a numbers restriction, but it's safer if you go onto our website and book a place, and then you won't be delayed or disappointed. And to be honest, we really need you to come and visit the cathedral. Over half our income each year comes from our visitors, just over £2 million a year. And our visitor income for nearly 4 months has been almost zero. So you can get a sense of the size of hit that we have taken. So please come, and when you do, please give generously. In fact, if you want to give generously, you don't even have to wait until then. You can press the donate button, which is just underneath the picture of me telling you this. The third significant thing today, after I'd spent a delighted period walking the cathedral floor saying hello to people, I went out and up some scaffolding onto the roof of the cathedral cloisters, because there we are installing 92 solar panels. The work is going really well. And that means that if you come to church on Sunday, because yes, we're now open for public worship as well, you need to book a place for that too, I'm afraid. But if you come to church on Sunday, it's entirely likely that the light that will lighten your service booklet in your hands will come from electricity generated by our panels. That has come from the sun. It's our small contribution to what's a colossal global task, a small step whereby here at the cathedral we can become part of the good news for God's earth, as well as being part of the problem. Well, forget the hair, but think of the other two things. Between them, they sum up the challenge, which is both a personal challenge and a global challenge. The challenge between the immediate and the longer term. Visitors, our openness to visitors and our need for visitors, that's about the immediate. The panels are part of our longer term destiny. The panels have a 20-year life. They probably will last for rather longer than that. They're part of our contribution to the Church of England's decision to become carbon neutral by 2030. And the Church of England has set itself that punishingly demanding target because we really want to help to take a lead in helping our nation to reach the government's objective, which is to be carbon neutral by 2050. And that's the very latest that we and the other nations should aim for if we are to avoid not just the serious effects of climate breakdown, I'm afraid they're coming our way anyway, but avoid catastrophic effects of climate breakdown. The immediate and the long term, the immediate versus the long term. That was the challenge the Chancellor had today in his statement. Businesses need saving now. Jobs need protecting now. But he has to do what he does with an eye to the future, in which, among other things, all that government support must be paid for. The immediate and the long term, it's a really tough thing to balance, but it's something that we human beings are able to do. In God's good time, we have evolved the most amazing brains that are capable at the same moment of attending to an immediate need without losing sight of what's round the corner or over the hill or over the horizon. So that's the first thing to say about balancing the immediate and the longer term. We can do it. The second thing to say is we often fail to do it. How often have you lost sight of your ultimate goal because of you're distracted by what's around you? On the other hand, how often have I been so distracted by what's around me that I have not been able to achieve that or move towards that goal? Or on the other hand, been so obsessed with where I'm going that I've just not seen what is at my feet or indeed in front of my nose. But the third thing to say is we often fail to do justice to the immediate and the longer term. But in the case of the greatest challenge facing us, we must not fail. I seem to come up with a cartoon most weeks, and here's one for this week. It's from a recent edition of The Economist, and it shows the world doing a round in the boxing ring with COVID-19, while a vastly bigger opponent waits just outside the ropes with climate change on his shorts. The title of the cartoon is The Preliminary Round. Just think of the restrictions, the disruptions, the changes that our lives have undergone in response to the virus. This could just be a gentle hint of what's coming our way if we really do not get to grips with our heating of the planet. Well, how then do we do justice to these two conflicting demands? This morning in morning prayer, we heard a story from the 18th chapter of Luke's Gospel. It's that part of the Gospel where Jesus has set his face, as the writer puts it, for Jerusalem. He is determined to go to the big city and face the showdown that will await him there with the religious and the political forces of the day. But meanwhile, as he makes his way, of course, on foot to Jerusalem, he is beset constantly by people who have needs now. In the story this morning, it says people were even bringing their children to Jesus, and the disciples tried to shoo them away, and he said, no, these people really matter. And somehow he has this ability to balance the longer term and the immediate. And the Jesus they meet in that moment in Luke's Gospel is completely of a piece with the Jesus who continues to pursue his ultimate destiny. So that's the ideal. How do you or I get within a country mile of that ideal? Well, here's one thing we can do. You and I, every day, can say the Lord's Prayer. We're going to say it at the end of this session, or at least I will, and you can join in if you would like to. There is so much in that prayer, but one thing that is among those many riches is this balancing of the immediate and the ultimate. In the prayer, we say at one moment, give us this day our daily bread. And at another moment, we say, thy kingdom come. It's a way of saying to God, look, I've got needs now. I need your help now. But also to say, please God, help me never to lose sight of what my life is for, what existence is for. Because it's not just about me and about now, it's about your will being done. God's will, God's longing for justice to be known among us, God's longing for what is much more than justice, for God's love to be known and shared among us. So, not just give us this day our daily bread, but also, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thank you very much for your time in this immediate moment, whenever that immediate moment comes for you, whether you're watching live or at some later point in the day or in the week or beyond. But whenever it is in time that you and I are meeting each other, please join me, if you would like to, in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Thank you for your time. May God be with you now and always.